Time sure flies when you're dead, because like it or not, it's time once again for another installment of Creepy Cheapies with Dr. Lady, where we look for the best and affordably priced Halloween masks. I'm 60% water, and tonight's mask comes from the weirdos at Trick or Treat Studios. It was released in 2014, and it is called, I kid you not, Cleave. That's right, Cleave. C-L-E-A-V-E, Cleave. Gee, I wonder why. It's because he's been cleft. He's been cleaved, you see. This horrifying thing was sculpted by Bruce Spalding Fuller, and well, as you can see, it looks like a guy who has a cleaver embedded in his head. And why he's not dead, I don't know. Which means you could either put this on a dummy mannequin body and use it as a prop for a victim of, you know, Leatherface, Jason, somebody like that, somebody who would whack a guy in the face with a cleaver, all right? Or you could just stuff the head with paper or plastic grocery bags, wad it up, or some such substance, and put it in your set of your haunted house or your Halloween party or whatever. Just stuff it and have it just lying there as a charming and tasteful, you know, bit of set decor. You could put this with your, if you have one of those spooky buffets, like a Halloween party where you have scary food that looks like, you know, eyeballs and bats and guts and that kind of thing. You could have this just sitting there for decoration, or like I said, use it to decorate your Leatherface scene or Jason scene or some such thing in the haunted house. Or wear it and be a, well, a zombie who didn't die even though he was whacked in the head. I think the thing that would excuse that is, even though traditionally head injuries will do in a zombie and deanimate them, kill them a second time, I think the thing that would excuse that is that, as you can see, not that much cleavage went on in the brain. The cleavage all took place lower on the head, so maybe the brain's intact. Really doesn't matter, does it? No, of course not. Now, this particular design reminds me a lot of a movie from the early 1970s called Cannibal Man. And if you've ever seen the movie Cannibal Man, you'll agree with me that it shouldn't have been called Cannibal Man, because the guy not only is not a cannibal, the one time he thinks he may have been guilty of cannibalism, he's so sick that he vomits. So there's no cannibalism in Cannibal Man, which is probably why it's also known under the alternate title, Apartment on the 13th Floor, even though the killer lives in a one-story house. Okay, maybe they never really did come up with an ideal title for the film, but in the film, a guy gets whacked right in the head in the face with a cleaver, and the guy just whacked, and it splits the guy's head open, and they use that on some of the advertising art, and the posters for the movie had the art of a guy with his head smashed in half with a cleaver. And as you can see, blood and guts and gore and nastiness, and it's a heartwarming film. It's a heartwarming family film. It was the feel-good hit of the year in 1973. Watch it at your next Christmas or Thanksgiving get-together. But the difference the difference between the Cleave mask and the victim scene in that particular movie is that the cleaver was the other way, so the handle was down here. And actually, if you know, in a perfect universe, if I could just decide, I think I would like it better with the handle down here. I don't know why the decision was made to make the Cleave part go this way, so the handle's at the top. Now that I think about it, maybe that was done in order to make it easier to get out of the mold and get a good solid castings, because having made a lot of masks myself, I realized that if you had something like this handle sticking down at the bottom, it would tend to give you thin spots and irregularities and weirdness in that area of your casting, whereas since it's up, when the latex drains out of the mold, it runs out of there naturally like it does everywhere else. Maybe that's part of what they had in mind. Maybe it isn't. I don't know. Half a dozen of one, 11 of the other. But Cleave here, very nicely detailed with very realistic blood and an impressively painted eyeball, and an impressively painted, well, a good eye and an enucleated eye. And they're both pretty impressively done, and for around 50 to 60 bucks, you can't go wrong if you just want to gross people out. Nice glued on hair that goes along with the pattern of the hair on the sculpture. Sculpted hair with hair glued on over it, in other words. And no hair on the eyebrows, but it doesn't really need it. It just, I don't know, somehow it all comes together because of the stark effect of the skin and the blood and all that. It really works without real hair on the eyebrows. I don't know why the cleaver is gray rather than metallic silver. I think I would have made it silver, but the gray works. It's shiny, and again, the effect is so shocking and dramatic of seeing the mangled head here that it's very effective. It's kind of a throwback to the Distortions masks of the 80s and 90s. Remember when Distortions was making all those mangled, bloody head masks? This is kind of like a really good, really high-end version of one of the old Distortions gory masks. But there you have it, Cleave, for all your bloody head needs, courtesy of Bruce Balding Fuller Sculpture and the production monsters at Trick or Treat Studios. Pick one up if you like them gory. If not, well, maybe you could be the bloody head fairy and leave it under someone's pillow.